Hey everybody, this is Rydo. We are going through all the Whisper of the Old Gods expansion cards and seeing what they've got to offer and whether they're good. To see them right now, because they're not quite out yet, you have to go into crafting mode, go ahead and click that include unrecoverable cards, and then click here and then click on old gods. So I'm past the halfway point now. We did priest last time. I've done neutral and everything on this side. So now, today, well, right now, in this recording, and then next recording I'll do shaman. But today we're doing the rogue cards. So let's see what the rogue cards have to offer. One of the nerfed cards, Blade Fury, was a rogue card, and so I want to specifically see what they're going to do to kind of accommodate the fact that they got rid of one of the massively powerful cards, Blade Fury. They didn't get rid of it, you can still play it, they just changed what it did. First card we have is a 1 mana, 1 attack, 2 health creature called the Bladed Cultist. It has a combo of gaining +1/+1. So, if you had 2 of those on the second turn, so you could play the coin and play them both, then you would have a 1/2 and then a 2/3. But of all the 1 mana characters I've seen, I'm not kind of wondering if you couldn't do a neutral 1 mana character better. Seems a little too strange. Maybe they'll come back and have a card that says, oh, your combo cards activate twice or something, and that would make sense, but right now as it sits, I don't think this is your best option. Next card we have is a 1 mana spell called the Journey Below. Discover a Death Rattle card. We've seen several cards that kind of focus on Death Rattle, but I've yet to see enough of them that do the same thing in such a way that it would make a good deck that just have tons of Death Rattle cards. I don't know why I would want to discover a Death Rattle card, and that really has more to say about Discover than it does Death Rattle. I'm just not a big fan of being shown 3 random cards and then having to pick one. That's not quite what I want in the phrase Discover, but whatever. So I don't think I'd play that card. Next one we have is a 2 mana, 2 attack, 2 health creature called the Undercity Huckster. Death Rattle, add a random class card to your hand from your opponent's class. Class card meaning it's not a neutral character, basically, or a neutral spell. And I've not seen any neutral spells ever, so just neutral characters. It's a fine card for 2 mana, 2 attack, and 2 health. Its Death Rattle ability is kind of just random and pointless. There's not a lot of scenarios that are going to happen where you get a really awesome class card from your opponent's class that works great with your rogue deck. Next card we have is a 3 mana spell, Shadow Strike. Deal 5 damage to an undamaged character. So the way this is phrased, that means if the hero, your opponent's hero, is undamaged, it should deal 5 damage to it. But I wouldn't be surprised in practical use it actually means deal 5 damage to an undamaged minion, which is different. Character as a phrase means the opponent too. Well, if this does what it actually says, then you could potentially do the first 5 damage on your opponent on the 3rd turn. It's a pretty decent card. Plus it might be useful to take out some later powerful characters your opponent might summon. Next card we have is a 4 mana, 4 attack, 4 health pirate called the South Sea Squid Face. And he has a death rattle to give your opponent your weapon +2 attack. So there is a card that doubles the death rattle, so it happens twice. That would be awesome. He is a pirate, and so we need more pirate cards if we were to make a decent pirate deck. You can make a decent one right now, but a couple more pirate cards that did a couple of interesting things would work rather well. Um, Overall, there's nothing wrong with this. I think you'd play it. Even if you weren't doing a pirate deck, you might play this. If you were doing a weapon deck, you might play it too. Or you might just play it for a 4/4/4. Next card we have is a 4 mana, 3 attack, 2 health legendary. That's the dragon. Says it's a legendary. Creature called Azaral Poisoned Mind. He has a battle cry and death rattle. I think they need to get rid of the word and do ampersand. I think they're going to start running out of space typing in the instructions on these cards. Anyways, its battlecry and death rattle is add a random toxin card to your hand. So this is one of those legendaries where until you've played it a lot and you know what the toxin cards are, you're not really certain what that means. I think overall this is probably a decent card, but it depends what those toxin cards are, because it is a little low on attack and it's about too low on health compared to the 4/4/4 we just saw. Next card we have is a 5 mana, 4 attack, 4 health creature called the Shadowcaster. Has a battle cry, choose a friendly minion, add a 1/1 copy of that to your hand that costs 1 mana. Well, it says just one. Uh, that might be confusing a few years down the road when they start having cards that say you can summon this by sacrificing a life instead of mana. But right now, there's no real problem with that. Why the one is in parentheses is because the spell costs might go down uh, based on other characters' abilities or spells. So there might be a way to summon a 1/1 copy of creatures and them costing 0 mana, depending on the combination you can have there. I don't know what that combination would be. I don't think it exists yet, but they're obviously preparing for that. I've still yet to figure out what the strategy is to have 1/1 copies of your other minions. I assume maybe they have the same battle cry or abilities, so that you might have a card that says gain +3/+3 each turn, and you make a 1/1 copy of it, and then it goes through one turn, and then it's a 4/4 again. I think that might be the strategy, but I want to see this card in play before I'm sure. Next card we have is a 6 mana spell, Thistle Tea. Draw a card, add 2 extra copies of it to your hand. That's kind of insane. This card, I suspect this card is heavily going to get changed or banned before the entire expansion gets banned in a couple of years, because in theory for 6 mana you could draw something that was a legendary where you were only supposed to have 1, and then you have 3 legendaries by this, and that's just too much. That's insane. Yeah, I imagine we're gonna see some crazy gameplay footage of people playing this one. And then finally we have a 9 mana, 4 attack, 4 health creature called the Blade of Cthulhu. It has a battle cry, destroy a minion, add its attack and health to Cthulhu's, whatever it is. I don't know if I'd play this card even if I was playing a Cthulhu deck. It is just way too expensive here. It's like 5 mana extra to destroy a minion with a 4/4, so at best you're going to, uh, well, no, that's a battle cry, so you summon this on the ninth turn, it destroys a minion, it adds that attack and health to Cthulhu once, and then you've got a practically worthless 4/4 on the ninth turn. Maybe, maybe you'd play that in the Cthulhu deck just because you're low on Cthulhu cards, but it still seems rather strange. It's awkward how this card would play out. You'd play it on the ninth turn, you'd destroy one creature because of the battle cry, and then almost certainly you would have it destroyed, get destroyed in the next turn. Anywho, that's the rogue. I'm down to Shaman, Warlock, and Warrior, and I'm glad for that because it is late when I had to start recording because they released this around midnight. Anywho, as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of my videos. I hope that helps out. If you want to support me, you can click on my name, Rydo. On the right will be a blue button that says support this channel. Click it, make a donation. And if you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.